So it's, what is it? 3:50 a.m. here on Sunday, which is Easter Sunday, 2018. You might ask yourself, Tom Barbalet, what are you working on Noble Ape this time? What are you actually working on currently? Because I've talked a little bit about Noble Ape, a project I've been working on since 1996, and I'm still working on stuff. So the stuff I'm working on currently is associated with the weather simulation. Noble Ape has a relatively rich and detailed weather simulation, and it's a weather simulation that I first created probably about 1997. And the ideas there were that the simulation is kind of like a glass topped ceiling on landscape. And the water moves over, or the water vapor, the clouds, move over the landscape and are kind of squeezed by the land and produce clouds and rainfall and this kind of stuff. And when I first developed the weather simulation in 1997, probably within the first couple of years of doing this, I was actually contacted by real meteorologists talking about the way the weather simulation in Noble Ape worked. It's sometimes good to think of Noble Ape as just a series of different simulation ideas, all in one clearinghouse. Some of them are my own, some of them are relatively novel, some of them are created by a guy called Bob Mottram, who continues to follow the simulation. I've got to shout out to Bob because he's enjoying these videos. But the weather simulation specifically was at half the resolution of the land. So the landscape has a particular resolution, and the weather simulation was at half that resolution. And what I want to add now is the light effects of clouds. So as the clouds go over, they cast a shadow, which I've simulated, but I've not added graphically, and I want to add that graphically. But I want the weather simulation to be the same resolution as the land resolution, so that the cloud shadows look more realistic, basically. So the use of clouds, lots of uses of clouds within Noble Ape, and the use of weather and rain and all these kind of things. So it's actually a simulation that affects a number of other parts, and it's given me an opportunity to go through and review how the weather simulation is used in the rest of the simulation. So you might wonder what I work on with Noble Ape, what I'm working on at, basically 4 a.m. on a Sunday. It's associated with the clouds, the weather systems, the weather patterns, reducing the resolution down with that, and also asking certain simulation questions about when this should start in the simulation. And that's the code I'm working on currently. Simply, that's the stuff I'm working on currently. And next week it could be associated with documentation. Well, actually, next week it's going to be associated with actually getting the graphical rendering of the clouds onto the landscape, so people can visualize the clouds moving along through the shadows on the landscape, and also probably standard kind of cloud effects that permeates the landscape, and maybe you have to see the landscape through the clouds and this kind of stuff. So this is what I'm working on currently, but next week it will be something completely different. I'm also working on a project which I've been working on for about the past month, which will enable a guy to run a lot of the stuff natively on Windows, which the simulation is historically compiled on Windows, but there have been new requirements with Windows, so I've had to change certain aspects of the simulation so it runs under Windows. So this gives you an indication of some of the stuff that I work on day to day. And in a month's time, it'll be something completely different. A month after that, it'll be something completely different. There's always stuff to work on with Noble Ape, and I'm always working on it, sometimes at 4 a.m. So that might sound boring, it might sound interesting, but that's just the nature of the work that's kind of ongoing with Noble Ape currently.